Hello there, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Hope everything is going as smoothly as it possibly could. And yeah, hope you're having an amazing time. I know I am. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to record a quick video about a presentation that I made specifically for referral dependent branding agencies. And in this video, I'm going to quickly explain why your branding agency isn't getting results from cold outreach and how to fix it without having to hire an army of SDRs. So it's going to be an exciting video, hopefully. And yeah, by the way, my name is Daniel Carroll. I'm founder of Cosmic Growth Labs, which is a cold email agency or a cold outbound agency that helps creative agencies book meetings with B2B potential clients. So yeah. Anyway, the intro. The goal of this presentation is to show you how your branding agency can stop relying purely on referrals and start acquiring clients from cold market segments. And so cold market segments, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is people who are strangers to you. They don't know who you are, basically. If you're closing customers on referrals, you are closing warm market segments or warm traffic. These people already know, like, and trust you because they've been referred to you by a friend. So if they like that friend, they've been referred by them. And so therefore the trust that they have for their friend has been transferred to you. They will think of you fairly highly. So they will be easier to close. And the real question is, well, let's say you have you have a few referrals coming in, and that's enough to close clients and keep yourselves fed, and maybe even be in a position that you can hire. But you probably don't have enough to expand. You probably don't have enough lead flow of new customers coming in, so it can be a bit of a feast and famine revenue cycle. And so what you need to do is you need to learn how to build a working cold outreach campaign so that you can reach cold market segments, so that not only can you get strangers to know, like, and trust you, you can get them to know, like, and trust you enough to book a sales call with you and to then even become a paying client. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So in this video, I'll show you how you can do this step by step with your own branding agency without having to manage a large team of SDRs. Because a large team of SDRs has a lot of headache. You might also have to either become really good at doing the SDR role yourself so you can teach it, or so you can hire, so you can manage, or just hiring a SDR manager or a sales manager to do it for you, and that's just a lot of headache. So if we can avoid that for the time being, that can be best, because once you know how to build a working cold outreach campaigns for your branding agency, you'll get a sustained revenue growth because you'll be able to now close more clients and close more clients on demand. You'll be able to close more clients, and therefore you'll be able to improve your agency's client revenue concentration. What I mean by that is a lot of agencies, they have a situation where around 2 or 3 of the clients are responsible for quite a lot of revenue. Let's say you have 2 clients responsible for 90% of your revenues. This does happen quite a lot in the creative agency space. Let's say one of them leaves. Now your agency has just shrunk, and now you have to figure out, okay, I have all this payroll, I have all the staff that I have to look after, and then one of my clients is just not wanting to be a client anymore. So what do I do now? And so that will be able to improve it, because if you can close more clients on demand, you'll be able to improve it so that your agency's revenue isn't just dependent on 1 or 2 really big clients. And the last point, you'll be able to improve customer lifespan, so how long customers stay with you, because you'll now be able to afford to hire top talent. If you can fix your lead flow issues and you can get more new clients in the door, you can close more clients. One thing that happens a lot in the creative agency space, I know this personally because I ran a creative agency unsuccessfully, and I wondered, like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Well, I didn't figure out lead flow when I ran my own creative agency. I was a copywriter, so I didn't figure out my own lead flow, and because of that, I had to discount in order to get new clients. Because I had to discount, I didn't have a lot of spare money to invest in my own self-education, or to even invest in staff. I wanted to hire staff, right? I wanted to hire an assistant, or someone to help me, and I couldn't afford to because I didn't have enough new meetings booked. and yeah, had to discount to get revenue through the door. And so that wasn't a fun experience. And so when you can close more clients on demand, because you have more lead flow, you can close for the rates that you for full rates, full rate card. For you don't have to discount, and because of that, you'll be able to have the excess money to not only pay yourself quite well, but also hire top talent. And these A players that you hire will be able to produce better work and manage larger accounts, meaning you can go into more of a leadership role and you can have your really talented staff work on the day to day, so you can work more on the business, not in the business. And pretty much, what I found when I was looking back, I thought, oh wow, I had my own creative agency that failed. What did I do wrong? What I did wrong is that I didn't realize how important just kind of like the B2B sales pipelines process was, because majority of problems that an agency will face will be because of a bad sales pipeline and not figuring that out. And so yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. So this video is for you if you're a branding agency owner that's outgrown the freelancer stage, so you might have a few staff members by now, but you can't seem to break into large accounts without warm introduction. And if that's your situation, then this is for you. If you've built a successful branding agency, but you feel stuck because most of your clients come from referrals or word of mouth, then this is for you. If you want to work with larger brands, but every cold email that you send gets ignored or deleted, then this is for you. If you have tried cold outreach before, but always felt like you were bothering prospects instead of providing value, then this is for you. And finally, if you come from a creative background, so you don't come from a sales background, and you want to fix your unreliable sales pipeline, but you don't know where to start, then this is for you. So it's going to be a fun presentation, hopefully. Grab a warm hot drink or a cold drink like I have here, that'll show the camera, and yeah, let's get into it. So the real problem is that most branding agency owners or creative agency owners in general think that cold outreach just doesn't work for them, but here's the reality. Most creative agencies, they treat cold outreach like a desperate salesman pitching a commodity service. That's what I did wrong. And this immediately puts them in the supply category rather than the strategic partner category. Agencies that land big fish accounts, they don't just send cold pitches, they focus on building relationships first, and they use smart outreach that demonstrates that they are experts. So that's the process we're gonna use today. So here's the process. The biggest challenge for creative agencies isn't talent or creativity. You guys have enough of that already. It's the struggle to consistently book meetings that result in new business. So most agencies, they do not close new clients with cold outbound. They haven't been able to crack it for their own creative agency. And it's because they approach it backwards. They lead by pitching and asking for a meeting right away instead of leading with value. And instead, you should position your outreach so that you are seen as a strategic consultant who is sharing valuable insights. Therefore, if we want to fix an unreliable sales pipeline, we must first create a working lead generation system that leads with value. And so here is my process. We start with step one, which is to define your ideal client profile, your ICP. So before sending a single email, you must identify exactly who your perfect client is. So why does this matter? So generic agencies fail at cold email because they try to be everything to everyone. When you try to appeal to a wide audience, your message gets diluted. It starts to sound just like every other cold email your prospect gets. And if you're targeting someone that has the budget to pay in excess of $10,000, euros, pounds, whatever, for an agency service, the average person cannot afford that. So that means you're going to be targeting people that other people will be targeting. These types of people, they get pitched like 200 times a week, from anywhere from cold calls to cold emails. So the question is, how can you set yourself apart? So in order to set ourselves apart, we want our messaging to connect with specific pain points, not just general business challenges. Okay, so what happens if you don't do this? If you don't do this, your emails will get lost in the noise, response rates will drop because they just won't be interested, and you'll end up wasting time on unqualified prospects if they do book. Therefore, what do we want to do next? What you want to do is you want to find what your best clients have in common. What you do here is you picture all of your clients and you audit the top 10% of clients. What were they like? What size of business were they? What industry was it? Can we find any patterns? You want to research patterns in industries and employee counts. So industries Are these young clients like startups, or are these old clients like established companies? Let's say like really old law firms that you maybe got really good rebrand project results for, right? You want to look in the industries, then you want to also look into the employee counts. So were they a small company, anywhere from 2 to 9 employees, or were they a really large company with 100 employees plus? You want to figure that one out too. You want to also test campaigns to validate your ideas, and these are called market research campaigns. And you do that so that you can find your own ideal client profile, just like this. Here, we have a procurement director at Series B tech startup, typical demographics, professional goals, the role, the risk management focus. We want to know all these things because the more we know this, the deeper we can go into a cold outreach, and we can lead with pain points, which is how we get this person's attention. So here's just a random idea for a really good ICP. And so I've noticed a potentially great type of client that many creative agencies miss, and that is newer organizations that have recently received funding. And these organizations, they often make exceptional client for creative agencies. Why? Because funded organizations are expected to deploy the capital strategically. This comes with specific advantages. One, they're expected to spend, and two, there's different success metrics. So your messaging and outreach can become much more specific. There we go. For example, reaching the next funding round, so Series A, Series B, Series C for like a tech startup, for example, and there's other specific or different success metrics that other funded industries will encounter. So the type of funded organizations that I think you should consider are like startups with recent investment rounds, political campaigns, charitable organizations and nonprofits, and academic institutions with research grants or other government funding. Each type of funded organization will have their own specific pain point, and that you can talk about, go deep about in your cold email campaigns. So there's plenty of ICPs at work. You can work with multiple ICPs. It doesn't have to be one, but when you are dealing with cold outreach, you want to focus your cold outreach, each different campaign on ICP. For example, let's say you can work with both. You can work with a young tech startup, or you can work with older, maybe rebranding projects. You can both do that. What you want to do is make sure that your cold outreach, instead of sending both, instead of just sending one, you can split it to two and send out both and see which one works better. So yeah, so there's plenty of ICPs at work. What matters is that you find the one that works for you. Then we can do step 2, which is technical infrastructure setup. Fun. So your technical foundation determines whether your emails reach inboxes or spam folders, and this involves purchasing sending domains, configuring DNS records, and implementing proper warm-up procedures. So why is this important? So most cold email beginners think they can send unlimited cold emails from a single email account, but providers like Google Workspace or Microsoft Outlook, they don't like this. So to send multiple cold emails, we need dedicated sending domains and email accounts just for sending cold emails, and this is called cold email infrastructure. So what happens without proper setup? Without proper setup, your cold emails will likely go to spam. And this means that prospects won't even see your messages, meaning that you wasted time and money on leads that did not convert. So here's what to do next. You want to buy 10 sending domains. You want to set up domain forwarding, as 9 out of 10 prospects who have been cold emailed by you will Google you. You want to set up 2 email accounts per sending domain, each with a profile picture. You want to set up your DNS records, run a 14-day warm-up process with tools like SmartLead, and then you want to launch. So this is a typical breakdown of what a process would look like. You start here, you purchase sending domains. We recommend purchasing 10 at the start, and so you want to get your domains from suppliers like GoDaddy and Porkbun. Those are ones that are working quite well, and Porkbun often has sales, so you can get a bunch of cheap ones there. You can also configure domain forwarding so that each sending domain forwards to the main domain. So let's say you emailed someone and the email that you send with is first name at sendingdomain.com. If someone copy and paste sendingdomain.com into Google and presses enter, they'll be automatically redirected to maindomain.com. And that's what you want to do, because if you send people to your main domain, they can do the research on you, and you will look more legitimate, and they'll take your cold email more seriously. And if it doesn't redirect to anything, and they Google and nothing shows up, then you might seem a little bit dodgy, and they won't take you seriously. Next, we want to obtain and set up 2 email accounts per sending domain. Again, we also want to put a picture here, just because if someone sends an email and there's a picture there with someone's face, then that will look better for you. Because people want to do business with a real person. Next, you want to set up your DNS records for each sending domain. So you want to configure your SPF records, want to configure DKIM records, want to configure DMARC records. After that, you want to begin your 14-day email warm-up process. And here you want to gradually build sending reputation through natural engagement patterns, and Smart Lead is good for stuff like that, but there's other ones that people use. You also, after that, once that's all done, you can launch your cold email campaign, and you only want to do this after completing all technical setup and warm-up. And tips for this, consider A stack or B stack technical infrastructure. So what you do here is, instead of just buying 10, you can buy 20, and one will be stack A, one will be stack B, and so 1 month you just send from stack A, another month you can just send from stack B, and that will be, it just gives each one a break. And so yeah, if one is getting into a little bit of trouble with deliverability, it can have a month off to basically have a month off to repair. And if any of your domains get in trouble, you can just quickly replace it with another one that's already been warmed up. Or you can consider just purchasing and setting up an additional 20% of email accounts to replace sending domains that stop working. That's why one of yours has deliverability issues, you can just quickly swap it out, and you can do that there. So this process is probably going to take around anywhere from 1 to 2 to 3 days. This will take 14 days, so that's a long time. So while that's being sorted out in the background, what do you want to do? So while that's been warmed up, we can move to step 3. You want to build your targeted lead lists. So with your ICP defined and your technical setup ready or working in the background, you can create prospect lists that fit your ideal client profile. So why does this matter? So here you focus on prospects who truly need your services. This targeted approach greatly improves response rates and the quality of meeting books, and it also increases the ROI of your campaigns. When you target poorly, you waste time on qualified prospects. You also waste resources on people who won't buy. So here's what to do next. You want to use databases to identify prospects that fit your ICP. You want to verify your leads with tools like Million Verifier. You want to organize lists by campaign segments for the best relevance. And once you do that, you can get a lead list that looks like this. Next, you can move to step 4, which is to craft value first email copy. Here, your email copy must immediately demonstrate value rather than pushing for a meeting, and this approach helps build trust. It positions you as a helpful expert, not just another salesperson, so that we get taken seriously a bit more and we don't get ghosted. So why does this matter? So people tend to be suspicious of strangers who ask for the time out of the blue, completely unsolicited, right? You would too. I know I would. So yeah, we want to keep that in mind. And by leading with value, you earn the right to eventually ask for a meeting. Those who provide value first start to develop a relationship, and therefore over time book more meetings. And so agencies that ask for meetings right away in the first email often get ignored, which means you book fewer meetings. And when you lead with value first, you start to build a relationship, and over time it leads to more meetings being booked. So what I want to talk about is my value first framework. Here we want to lead with value before we ask for a sales meeting or a quick call, and let me quickly show you what this would look like. So here is an example of a first cold email that I quite like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over each point or each section. I'm going to explain what it is, and then I'm going to give the example just to teach you. So for subject line, start here. So subject line is a gatekeeper to your email success. Must be concise, intriguing, must arouse curiosity, and you want to avoid clickbait. For example, subject prospects, company name, X your agency name. That will be enough just to make them interested, to get them to click on. Usually the issue is not the subject line. So we can move to the first line personalization. Here you want to reference something specific about the location or job title, and this demonstrates that you're not just sending a generic blast. Hi John, I noticed a company name recently closed a Series B round. Congrats, by the way. That's nice and simple. You don't want to do too much personalization because that can take a lot of time. You also don't want to do too little, because then they'll think, oh, this is just a generic blast. This person didn't even bother researching me. And this amount of personalization can be fairly easily automated. So yeah, that means we can reach a higher volume of people. Next, we move to the angle. So you want to clearly and concisely explain what you offer and the value that it provides. You want to frame it around their industry-specific needs and pain points. So we help Series B tech startups increase investor appeal within 90 days using story-focused branding, so that you can secure larger fundraising offers when you're ready for Series C. That's cool there. Next, we want to move to the call to action. You want to tell the recipient exactly what you want them to do, make it easy for them to take the next step, offer a low friction, value-based CTA, such as watching an educational Loom recording or a service-based lead magnet. You can do that there. For example, I've created a short Loom video showing how we help TechFlow, a similar Series B tech startup, strengthen their investor narrative and positioning. Can I send it over? By the way, we want to ask, can I send it over? And the reason we want to do that is that if we just send links unsolicited to people who there's no email back and forth, have never contacted us before, if we do that, then that will trigger alarm bells for the email service providers such as Google Workspace or Outlook. What that's going to do is going to think, oh, this person's sending unsolicited links to strangers, and they'll think you are just spamming, and that will hurt your deliverability. You'll be sent to spam. Cool. Therefore, we want to ask for permission before we send over links. Next, your signature. So here you want to keep it professional and concise. You want to include your name, title, and company, and this is so they can look you up, which they will. So, for example, warmest regards, Joe Schmo, founder of JS Branding Studio. I said it previously, but 9 out of 10 people that have been cold emailed by you will look you up. So they'll just highlight, copy, and paste, and put you into Google to see if you're a real person. So you want to make sure that you show up in Google when someone copy and paste you. And so this right here is really easy. And also you want to make sure that there's no links, because that can hurt deliverability. The last part, the PS section. The PS section is a final opportunity to grab attention and reinforce your value proposition. It's prime real estate, as most people quickly glance at this section. You can use this space to share a brief client success story or address a potential objection. For example, PS, we recently helped CloudVault increase their valuation appeal by 40% through strategic brand repositioning. Would you like to see the case study? That's quite good there. Another thing you can do here is just mention your risk reversal. Just whatever your guarantee is, just put it there. PS, if we don't achieve XYZ within time frame, we'll work with you for free until you get that result. You can put that there. Next, we want to move to step 5, which is deploying multi-touch follow-up sequences. So the majority of your success, it will come from the follow-up emails, not your initial outreach. And most prospects, they just won't reply to your first email. And it's not that they aren't interested, just they're often busy, distracted, or they just might have missed it. So why does this matter? So 70% of your campaign's results, they come from the follow-up emails sent after the first email. Yet most agencies will just send one email and they'll give up. So poor follow-up sequences may lead to missed opportunities, and prospects who could have been converted into paying customers may slip away without proper nurturing. Without a follow-up sequence, there are just fewer opportunities to connect with people at the right moment. Also, consistent touch points can create a strong compound effect over time, because you can kind of do different angles or mention different parts about your service. So maybe if they weren't interested before, maybe they get a follow-up, talk about your process, about what makes you unique. They read it and they think, oh, hang on, this is actually quite interesting. I'll give them another chance. You know what? Let's try and arrange a meeting with them. So yeah, so here's my follow-up sequence strategy. Follow-up 1, the nudge email when it sends 4 days after the initial email. Follow-up 2, the increased comfort email when it sends 7 days after the initial email. Follow-up 3, the proof of confidence email when it sends 13 days after the initial email. Follow-up 4, the circle back email when it sends 33 days after the initial email. And follow-up 5, the final follow-up email, the breakup email, 63 days after the initial email. For example, so here is a follow-up 1. So the purpose here, it's just a gentle reminder that acknowledges the busy schedule. So you're not repeating your entire pitch. You're simply acknowledging that they might have missed your previous email, and you're offering a quick recap of your value proposition. Here you want to keep it short, keep it casual, just like a quick reminder. For example, hey John, sent you an email about getting company name increased investor appeal. Can I send over more information about how we help Series B tech startups secure larger fundraising offers? Best, Joe Schmo, founder of JS Branding Studio. After that, you can move to follow-up 2, the increased comfort email, within 7 days after the initial email. Purpose here is to build familiarity and reduce perceived risk. So this is where you start building comfort and credibility. For example, you can share a relevant case study, talk about your process, mention other clients in their industry, or provide social proof that demonstrates that you understand the world and you've helped others like them succeed. For example, hey John, here's how we help Series B tech startups attract bigger investors. 1, we audit your brand story and fix positioning gaps. 2, we create messaging that resonates with investors. And 3, we polish your visual identity for Series C funding. If our brand positioning, doesn't improve your investor conversations within 90 days, we'll continue working at no charge until you see a meaningful change. I've created a 5-minute loom showing how we help DataStream achieve 40% stronger investor interest. Is it okay if I link it here? Best, Joe Schmo, founder of JS Branding Studio. So that's a good example of follow-up 2. And by the way, you can test swapping follow-up 2 with follow-up 1 in order. And if you do that, just see which one works better. And here's an example of what you could write. For example, you could write, hey John, forgot to mention how we help target market get desired results. What we do is we 1, audit your brand story and fix positioning gaps. 2, create messaging that resonates with investors. Or 3, polish your visual identity for Series C funding. And then do your risk reversal. And if our brand positioning doesn't improve investor conversations within 90 days, we'll continue working at no charge until you see a meaningful change. Then you could do that interested in that soft CTA. So interested in that 5-minute loom showing how we help DataStream achieve 40% stronger investor interest. Happy to send it over, or let me know if you want to see it. Something along those lines, and then you can put a signature so someone can copy and paste. And so you want to test that in your campaign. You can A/B test for like different order of the sequences. So this isn't set in stone. Now we have follow-up 3, the proof of competency. The purpose here is to demonstrate expertise and establish credibility. So at this point, your prospect is either 1, ignoring your emails on purpose, or 2, has been busy, therefore has not been able to reply to your emails. And what we do here is just assume that they've been too busy to reply to us. So what works here is to highlight a free resource, a personalized Loom video, or anything like a service-based lead magnet, so that you can send them, as they may be wondering if you know what you're talking about. For example, hey John, seems like you're busy, so I wanted to ask for your permission first before I shared a Google Doc I created specifically for company name, going over how we help TechFlow rebrand for the Series C pitch. It breaks down the exact messaging shifts that help them secure 3x more investor meetings. Is it okay if I link it for you here? Best, Joe Schmo, founder of JS Branding Studio. And by the way, if you're wondering about the Google Doc, if you're wondering, if I need to make that custom for everybody, about how that would look, that would take up a lot of time, what you can do is you can just create a base, basically a base Google Doc that's easy, that has things that can easily be replaced. And what you want to do is every time someone does request it, you can just make a copy, and then you can customize 1 or 2 things, and then you can send it over. And so you can do that there, and that can help streamline operations. Next, we can move to follow-up 4, the circle back email. So the purpose here is to address potential objections and create urgency. If your prospect hasn't responded, it's probably because you caught them at a bad time. So maybe they were evaluating other options, dealing with budget cycles, or simply prioritizing other tasks. Therefore, we return to their inbox in 3 weeks, so 21 days, which makes it less intrusive and gives them time to deal with whatever they've been caught up in. So we acknowledge the silence professionally. You want to start by recognizing that you haven't heard back, but you frame it in a way that shows that you understand that they're busy professionals, not that you're frustrated with the lack of response. For example, hey John, seems like you're busy and I don't want to keep emailing you if this is a bad time, so could you please reply with just a number from any of these options? 1, interesting but I'm busy, revisit in a month. 2, I'd like to discuss this but didn't have time before. Or 3, don't bother me again, we're not interested in stronger investor appeal. I'll make a note in our CRM. Thanks, Joe Schmo. PS, if you don't struggle with investor positioning and company name, just reply no thanks and I'll vanish from your inbox. And so this is an example of a opt-out PS. So that can be quite useful, just so we don't get reported for spam if we do it too much. Cool. Now we can move to the last follow-up 5, the final follow-up email, also known as a breakup email. The purpose here is one last attempt done in a professional manner. We'll call this a breakup email. The final follow-up this final follow-up professionally acknowledges that now might not be the right time, while leaving the door open for future opportunities. For example, by the way, your prospect will have probably forgotten your emails in a month, so that you can comfortably replicate your original cold emails with a few variations. And so you can start here with a tension breaker, that's a variation like I've done here. For example, hey John, not sure if you remember me annoying you a month ago, but I just wanted to reach out one final time. We help Series B tech startups increase investor appeal using story-focused branding, so that you can secure larger fundraising offers when you're ready for Series C. I've created a short Loom video showing how we help TechFlow strengthen their investor narrative. Can I send it over? Best, Joe Schmo, founder of JS Branding Studio. And PS, I won't follow up anymore, but please let me know if anything changes. And that's a good example of a final follow-up 5 there. Cool. So in summary, because I've been talking a lot, So as you can see, as long as you, 1, define your exact ideal client profile instead of trying to appeal to everyone, 2, set up a strong technical infrastructure with dedicated sending domains and email accounts, just so you can handle a large volume without risking all your emails falling into spam. 3, build targeted lists that match your ICP with verified databases, so you have verified leads and like verified emails of people, just so you don't have a large bounce rate. And 4, craft a value first email copy that demonstrates expertise before asking for meetings. 5, deploy strategic follow-up sequences with 5 touch points over 63 days to catch prospects at the right time. If you do all that, you'll be able to go from network-dependent leads, so just relying on referrals or networking events, to being booked up with meetings with brand managers each month without having to hire more SDRs. Fun stuff. So, oh, and by the way, once you build a dependable sales pipeline, you'll be able to regularly generate sales opportunities, and this could be done without relying on expensive SDRs or running a large sales team. You'll be able to connect with decision makers at well-known brands, even if they did not respond to your calls or emails in the past. You'll be able to break free from the feast of famine revenue cycles that make it hard to plan for growth or reinvest in your team, right? If 1 month is good and 1 month is bad, if that kind of keeps the revenue and cash flow, it isn't consistent, it can be hard to take on the risk of hiring an employee. And so, yeah, if you fix that, you'll be able to fix the feast of famine revenue cycles. Next, you'll be able to focus on what you love most, creating amazing work and developing your team instead of worrying about lead generation. And you'll be able to create an agency that's ready for an acquisition, so you can avoid unfavorable exit deal terms, so no burnouts. Because, and important to note, acquired agencies achieve this by showing steady revenue growth and by consistently hitting growth targets. If you do that, you won't be trapped with a really bad earnout that a lot of agencies have to deal with if they want to sell. So, if you want to see how this can benefit your creative agency, click the link below to check out my website and book a 30-minute discovery call with me. In this call, we'll go over your lead generation issues, then we'll explore how you can boost your lead flow to 15 more meetings with big fish clients in the next 90 days. And so click below to visit my website. And of course, by the way, if you work with me, we back everything up with a guarantee. So to escape from feast of famine revenue cycles and to create a steady sales pipeline, book a call as soon as you can. All right, I've been talking for way too long. My voice is starting to hurt a little bit. And so, yeah, hope that video was useful. Hope you got some value from it. If you did, please like and subscribe, or leave a comment, right? Whatever suits you, I guess. Cool. I'm starting to ramble now. Yeah, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope you have a lovely weekend if that's coming up. And yeah, see you around, I guess. See ya. Bye-bye.